All right. Well, welcome, Facebook family, to the BE Marketplace podcast. And I'm here with my good friend, Barry James. I'm actually, if you can actually see here, I am in one of the conference room of James Investment Research. Barry is right there in his office. As you can see, we are here in Ohio. I've been here for the last 2 days, being hosted by Barry and his wife. And we've been here as our annual, what we call partner donor visit to visit Barry, give an update in terms of what's going on with his investments and check and see how he's doing as well. And we are here at the headquarters. Barry, welcome to our podcast.
Hey, great to be with you, Patrice.
Well, Barry, you and I have done a few podcasts before, and it's been one of the and most listened to or really enjoyed podcasts that we've had because people have appreciated the insight you've given them around principles of investment. So thank you first for that.
Yeah.
Well, let me kind of set the stage here. So today, Barry, now we're going to talk obviously about what's going on with Barry and the company, James Investment Research. But we're also going to talk about the 100K initiative that Barry instigated or he brought to our hearts, or it was a vision that God gave him that we've adapted, is become a core part of who we are, is define a 10-year strategy. And we just thank him for that. And he's also come alongside us and provide both time, talents, and treasure and help us to realize it. Barry will be a guest speaker for us at Nehemiah Week this year in August. Barry will be speaking on really about this whole thing about the time-tested principles of investing. But he's going to talk around innovation, because James Investment Research was built around innovation. And today we're going to talk a bit about that. But to hear the entire story, you want to come to Nehemiah Week in August in Washington, D.C. So you're going to learn that and many more. But let's first begin. Very traditionally, we begin our podcast with the question about personal devotional time. As entrepreneurs, we're very busy. And oftentimes, Christian entrepreneurs or kingdom entrepreneurs struggle to create that nice balance between running a kingdom company, their family, and that personal quiet time with God. And so our listeners love to hear and to glean from various entrepreneurs who have been successful to know, how do they make the balance? What are some insights that they can learn from Mr. Barry James today that can enable them to be able to understand how to make that a priority? So first, Barry, from your vantage point, how important is a personal devotional life to the life of the Christian entrepreneur?
Well, the connection with God is I think at the center of that. What you call a devotion, I would call spending some time reflecting with God about the things going on in your life, about your business, about asking for wisdom, and just trying to connect, if you will, between the two. I know we call it the spiritual and the secular, but as BE teaches us, it's all one, and it really is all one. And just trying to make sure that doing what we do is for the glory of God and brings Him honor.
So Barry, how do you do it? I mean, you run a very successful company, very demanding. You are involved in your local church and other ministries. You have a family. What has been the key for you in maintaining that time with the Lord, that sense of intimacy and connection with God, excuse me, while at the same time keeping up with all the things you're involved in?
I'll be very honest. I am spotty when it comes to that. I am not consistent at all. There are seasons when I'm hot and seasons when I'm cold. I know God doesn't need me to do those things. He wants me to do those things because they're good for me. And the one thing I do have is a very committed wife, and she will encourage me in her devotions. And in bed in the morning, and she'll be reading Jesus Calling, and so she'll kind of work through that with me, and that's often one of the ways that I connect. But again, it goes back and forth, times when I'm really spot on, and then there's times when I I'm just kind of out in the wilderness, I guess, like most people are.
I love it. I love that honesty, because Barry, that's the different entrepreneur we've had here, we talked to. That's one thing they're strong with. But I love is that many of our guests have helped people not to be legalistic about it, to truly approach it as a relationship builder, not to be self-condemning, but to really understand that. I like what you said. God doesn't need it, but he wants it, you to want it. It's about you and not about him. To our listeners and our viewers, we produce a weekly devotion that goes out every Monday, to just as a way to just help you as entrepreneurs to walk that out. It's a great kind of a tool for you to use. Many use it for their as a personal resource for them. If you need a copy of that, just go to our website, nehemiahproject.org, nehemiahproject.org, and that can be a resource for you as an entrepreneur to help guide you along the way. Barry, let's talk about the company so that people understand. Now, I know that you're a very humble man, and so I want to paint a picture, and I just need you to kind of reinforce this. So, James Research Investments, one of the leading, at least in this region of the world, in this city, leading investment research firms with an innovative, unique niche in the country. Just today, I got a chance to saw a video of you on CNBC. And so you've been there a number of times. I loved it. I even want a collage of that to air at Nehemiah Week before you speak. So you are reputable in terms of what you guys bring to the marketplace. There's a unique niche you guys provide. You guys have over or close to $5 billion under management of that you guys work throughout your various investments. You started from $500 for your father's money all the way to where you are now. You have a unique approach to how you treat your staff. But what exactly, for our listeners who have not watched this podcast before and seen you, what is James Research Investment? For the layperson, what is it?
Well, we're a firm that, if I could just put it as succinctly, is that your future is our purpose. As you look from your financial situation, you're trying to get somewhere, and our goal is to help you along that process. And with all investments, the key that the Bible really teaches us is take the least amount of risk that achieves your goal. And so our firm has been built around the idea of preserving capital in difficult markets, and in good markets, at least, getting some of that gain. But it's again, how do you take the least risk but not eliminate the opportunity for profits, if you will? So that's kind of how we do it. We do all of the research ourselves here on investments. We're stocks and bonds folks, and that's what we do. We're not real estate or precious metals or commodities or anything of that nature, currencies. We focus on what we focus, and we try to bring that for clients of many different types, from individuals to companies to endowments to universities or whatever, and we tailor make a portfolio based on their needs and their risk tolerance.
And your clientele, give me your market segment in terms of who are the people that is your sweet spot, who needs or take advantage of your product or service?
My father's comment was, if you have $50 in your back pocket, we'll tackle you and manage it for you. And we actually have a 50-50 plan in our mutual fund. So you can start with just $50 a month with us.
I love it.
Don't need any more than that. But typically, we go through three different areas that we work with people. We have a mutual fund family called the James Advantage Funds, typically $500 for an IRA or $2,000 for an individual. Then we have a branch of our firm that works with brokers or advisors at the $100,000 level, and those are individual portfolios. And then we work with private clients, typically at $1 million and more. So those are the three. And often the folks, very often what you see is that people have $1 million. They weren't born with $1 million. They earned and saved and paid taxes and built that $1 million over their lifetime as generally successful entrepreneurs. So it's very humbling, the people that I get to work with, because so often they've had success in their lives through following BE principles. To be quite honest, whether they knew it or not, they were actually adopting those and following through on those.
I love it. And so we have many advisors who listen to our podcast and who are part of the Nehemiah community. And so does an advisor, do you have to be tied to their broker dealer? In other words, they have to have a relationship with their broker dealer in order for them to use you, or can they come to you directly? How does that work for advisors?
Again, what my father said, somebody wants to do business with you, you start with the word yes, and you go from there. But yes, we have a retail ability that anybody that finds us, they can go online to jamesfunds.com and they can start that process and invest in our mutual funds, or they can contact us directly. Advisors can use us if, on the platforms that they're on. If our mutual funds are on their platform, they can use us, or if they allow for, individual management, they would maintain the relationship, they would maintain the account there and the pay structure that they get, and we would just be responsible for the day-to-day buys and sells of whatever part of their portfolio that they would want us to oversee.
I love it. I love it. Now, Barry, you recently lost your father. First, our deepest condolences.
Thank you.
He was the founder and, I believe, chairman to his death of this company.
Yep.
How has that been for you, the transition with the family and with the staff?
It's hard. There's a weight that he carried, just in his personhood, that I feel now, in terms of the responsibility. There's an old saying that you haven't really become a man or a woman until you've had to make payroll. And especially when a business is going through its cycles, that is definitely something that weighs on your mind, because people are depending on you to make wise decisions. So from that side, the business side, it's been a challenge to kind of envision myself in the role that my father was in. And the thing I realized, I'm never going to be him. And I think a lot of people, when they think about succession and their family relationship, the thing that's helped me is that my father could do things I can't do. I can do things my father couldn't do.
Amen.
And so, I maybe need more people around me than he did to accomplish all that needs to be done. But I'm very, very fortunate in that respect that we've got a good team here. So, the grief comes, as everybody who's lost a loved one knows. It just comes, and I'll just kind of freeze up from time to time. And, I have conversations with my father, albeit, he's obviously not here, about the business. And, it's not like he answers me or anything, but it at least lets me get it off my chest, as it were. And I'm fortunate my brother works with me, and he's kind of the same mindset I am. So we're supporting each other, and we're supporting our mother. And just for information, we're now a woman-owned firm. My mom now owns the business. So went from my dad to my mom.
On a side note, are there any minority credit that comes with that? No. Well, that is incredible. Well, I know that your family, you guys really prepared for this. There was an intentional process. Your dad has been preparing you since you were in the military.
Yeah, my father was in the military. He served in 2 conflicts, in Korea and in Vietnam, both. And it was actually the Air Force that sent him to get his doctoral degree. And of all things, he got his doctoral degree on statistical analysis of hard for me to say, statistical analysis of the stock market. And then he was a professor here at an Air Force Institute of Technology. So yeah, his military background, and I have a military background. I went to the Air Force Academy, and I was a fighter pilot for a while. And I facetiously said in 1986 when I left the Air Force, I said, I learned to fly 100 feet above the ground at night in the weather through the mountains while being shot at. And I wanted something more risky. So I got a stock market. And that year, wouldn't you know it, we had a crash in 1987 of, it was about 40% in 40 days. So I didn't know I was a prophet.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Now, Barry, we met about 5 years ago, and you've yourself have gone through biblical entrepreneurship, and you took your team through it. Mm-hmm. And you very early on became a champion. You've been a donor for since then. What is it about biblical entrepreneurship and Nehemiah Project that have just gotten your heart?
Yeah. Well, in 2009, we were in the middle of a recession, and people were without jobs. And I had this crazy idea to start a business that helps people start their business. I called it MrMicroBusiness.com, but it never actually did what I wanted it to do. But it was try to help you come up with a business plan and then provide the necessary links for accounting and legal and all of that kind of stuff at very low cost, and then provide some financing for it that could be paid back through the revenues of the the new entity. And it didn't work out. I was disappointed in it. I think the political climate was not conducive to businesses starting. Tax wasn't, so it didn't go anywhere. But that kind of led me to working with our local university and set up it's like a Shark Tank for students. And so we call it the Wolves Den from Wright State University here. So we've got, business professionals, and these students have prepared for months to present their business idea, and then they will get some money, which was left over from that business, Mr. Micro Business, that didn't work. At least there was some money left in it. And so that kind of funds that, and then, a little bit of spending money on the side for the winners. But that whole concept of helping people start businesses was just kind of ingrained with me. Also in Honduras, and forgive me for just kind of carrying on here.
No, this is good.
I work with a group called Heart to Honduras in Honduras, Corazón para Honduras. And one of the things we did was try to do microeconomic development. And we did a micro lending project with a group called FUNED. And again, I helped raise funds that we could then, lend to people that they could get these. In some cases, it was a juice business at the bus stop or other little things from, sewing and the like. And those, had major impact on people's lives. I could see that, having a job would change the trajectory of their whole family. They could afford to live in a home. They could afford to send their kids to a school, and so they were really concrete things, and it was good for the families there as well, because no jobs, the people move up to the United States is very typically what happens. So there's a lot of really good things. So all of those things kind of played together. And then when I met you through the Timothy Plan, it was like kismet. I mean, it's just like, oh, here's somebody doing what I need to see done, and teaching biblical entrepreneurship and helping people start their businesses and all the positive things that go with that. And so it was kind of like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I introduced you to friends of mine, asked, help support some guys go through the training to become coaches, and some of the ministry partners that I've worked with. One gentleman in Mozambique, he went through the first level. So it's been really, really helpful in so many different ways to what's going on in my life. And I can't build things on a mission trip. I love missions, but I'm not capable of, much from the physical realm, but at least, having some of the tools that you have, I can pass those things along.
Wow, I love it. Now, Barry, then last year, fourth quarter,
Yeah.
you gave me a call. It was interesting. We were preparing for this year, we're going to celebrate 20th year in ministry. And we were looking at our strategy for the next 10 years. You have no idea. I got a call from you. And you had, as part of your personal mission and purpose, a goal to create 100,000 jobs.
Yep.
And as you shared that with me, again, I've said it to you before, but I'm going to say it again. It became for us a game changer. It became the centerpiece by which we reoriented our entire strategy. It actually became the metrics by which we now back-ended our entire financial model. Mm-hmm. And we've not only embraced it, but it's become kind of our BHAG, it's become our vision, it's become what defines Nehemiah. Mm-hmm. First, thank you for that. But what was it about that? What sparked it? What motivated you to do that? And why is that so important to you?
Well, again, going back to the failed business, MrMicroBusiness.com. And I'll sell that title. Anybody wants to buy it. I mean, you know, my idea there was, here's a recession. Government was throwing money at it and they weren't creating jobs. And I thought that in the private sector is much more effective at it. So my goal there was to create 10,000 jobs. And I was tracking that. So that's always been something in the back of my mind. But I was at a conference that was called Momentum and tries to help you break through some of the things in your life. And they asked a question for 3 minutes straight. They asked me, one person did, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And some of it was spiritual and some of it was family. And then that was the other thing besides my business that was just kept coming up. I want to create 100,000 jobs. I want to create 100,000 jobs. So that stuck. And then I did some additional work on that. And the thing was, they came up, they said, these are hurdles. What's one of the hurdles? Well, I don't have time to do this. And so my answer to the hurdle is, I'll find somebody else to do it. I'm at least that smart. And so I thought, well, this is exactly what you guys do. So I think all in all, it was just the Lord, using this to take you in a direction you were already going to go. It just maybe, clarified it a little. I don't take really any credit for it. I think you folks would have been on it on your own, but at least it was fun to be able to, present that concept.
Well, it clarified a whole lot, sir. It's one of those things where it was like, oh my God, we've been doing all of this, but we've not focused on job creation, which incidentally, if you build kingdom companies, but you're not looking at one of the end results, which is jobs.
Right.
I mean, that's such an easy metric to measure. If you got that, then you got the rest. It was one of those things like, wow, what have we been thinking?
But you've taken it a whole lot further, Patrice. I've seen the materials you've worked up, and if people really want to learn something, get some of these materials from Patrice. Your team has put together a fantastic way of organizing it and building towards it, and step by step on the way and measuring it, and it's really, really impressive what you folks are doing. I'm really pleased.
Well, thank you. Well, part of that because of people like yourself who have come alongside us financially and really supported it. And we're going to be, and this is the first time announcing this, guys, we're going to have a new award. We love awards at Nehemiah because we think award brings attention to the right things. We're going to have the Job Creation Award. I'm trying to convince Barry that it's named after his company, after something that feels special to him, because we want this to be in something that memorializes where they started, that long after Barry's gone home to be with the Lord, that this award sticks. And so it's going to be the whatever blank Job Creation Award. And we want to give it starting this year at Nehemiah Week. And Barry will be there. And Barry's actually going to hand that award to the winner this year, or at least announce it. The person is not, you don't have to be at Nehemiah Week to win the award, but you do have to have gone through biblical entrepreneurship to win that award. And so we're going to each year announce the person who created the most jobs for that year. Now, let me say this. Any job is important. We want to honor those who created one job to those who created 100 jobs. So it's not about, we don't want entrepreneurs to force their business to create jobs artificially just to win an award, because otherwise your company becomes unsustainable. Make it organic, but we do want to recognize it's just our way of being able to have to push this to the front and say, hey, this is important and so forth. And maybe as we grow, we do it per country, who knows? So that way we can recognize everybody. So Barry, you'll be giving that award this year. Announce that in Nehemiah because you'll be there. We take advantage of that. So thank you so much for that. Now, Barry, as we celebrate our 20th anniversary, if there's one word that you would use to describe the Nehemiah Project, we've asked this of every guest. What's the one word that you would use to describe the Nehemiah Project if you had to say it in one word?
Bold.
And why? Sorry.
Bold. I would say, there was boldness in starting it. There was boldness in trying to grow it. There was boldness in pursuing the dream that the Lord had laid on your heart and on the hearts of the others, and to go after, all these things. And so the dreams are bold, the goals are bold. So that's how I would describe it. As one word. There are many others I would use, but that's just one.
Amen. Well, thanks so much, Barry. Now, Barry will be with us at Nehemiah Week. If you desire to come to Nehemiah Week, we love for you to come the week of August 19th through the 25th. Barry will be speaking that Thursday at the Investors Forum. He's going to be talking to us about investments and innovation. So go to our website, nehemiahproject.org, nehemiahproject.org. Barry's going to share the story as to how his father used a very simple, innovative concept that came out of his PhD to build this company. And then from there, he'll talk about these timeless principles that have become the bedrock of the way he looks at finance and that have become the bedrock of this particular firm. Barry, let's conclude with this. So what can our guests expect? They come to Nehemiah Week and they're going to hear Barry talk. They're going to see you give the award, but they're also going to hear your talk. What can they expect? Let's tease them a little bit.
Okay. Well, if you don't have any experience investing, this will give you a foundation that you can then start on a path of not losing money. That's the first thing. That's the one most important rule of investing. And then you'll have some other things on top of that that will help you really work towards what I said is the number one thing in investing is take the least amount of risk that will achieve your goal. And as the Bible says, the goal really is contentment. It's not how much money you can make in your investments or whatever. It is all towards contentment. And in my view, it is doing well with your money so you have more to give away. For God's kingdom, to bring heaven on earth. That's become my kind of core, is heaven on earth. What can I do to bring heaven on earth? And people that are following their God-given gifts and their calling, if it's in the business world, as the case may be, kind of like the Green family with Hobby Lobby, they can then have use that influence for the Lord in unique ways. We can all use it, but in the business community, you don't have to give that up just because you're in the business community.
Amen. Wow, that is awesome. Again, come to Nehemiah Week, guys, and not only meet Barry in person, but also hear this insight as you seek to really build your foundation financially. Entrepreneurs need to understand finance, but you will also hear the wonderful story as to how innovation built this company. Barry has inside innovation. That's how he's wired. And that's how I think he got that from his dad, because truly his dad was an innovator. The other piece, Barry has authored a book called The 7 Timeless Principles of Investing. He will be signing that book at that event. And so make sure you come because you can get that book signed by Barry. And again, we're going to be giving out the Job Creation Award for 2019, Job Creation Award. Barry, as we conclude here, what way would you say to encourage our entrepreneurs? They're listening from different parts of the world. They're listening from throughout the United States of America. what word would you say to encourage them as they're seeking to build their companies or to start a new business?
I would say if your business fails, it doesn't mean you are a failure. It means your business failed. That's all it means. And successful entrepreneurs, I've studied this, and there's one common trait. Doesn't matter where you're born, how much money you have, your family connections. Successful entrepreneurs have historically had 5 of those business failures before they got to it. So it's stick-to-itiveness, it's grit, it's belief in what God has put in your heart. And I know discouragement will come as people struggle with those things, because entrepreneurs work so hard, because everything is kind of feels like it's on their back. But that would be the key thing is don't be afraid of trying and not succeeding, because you can't succeed unless you've had some of those failures.
I love it. Lessons learned: grit, don't be afraid of failure, and know that if you fail, you are not a failure. Right. Only the business failed. I tell you, what a word of encouragement. Again, Barry James, the CEO, and now I believe chairman as well. You've inherited your father's position. Yeah. And Barry, we'll be praying for you as well. We know that that's a tough order, particularly this early in the game. But you know what? Your father has invested in you. He's prepared you for this. So we know you're going to do not only well, but you're going to go even beyond, because Jesus said that we will do better than he did, and he was the Lord. So that means your father has set you up, man, to do even better than he did. Barry, we look forward to having you in Nehemiah Week. We thank you for your partnership and support. Again, come to Nehemiah Week, August the 19th through the 26th. Barry James will be speaking, and he'll be doing a book signing as well, as he shared with us the insight he heard there. Barry, where can they go to learn more about James Investment Research?
Well, they can go to JIR-Inc.com or JamesFunds.com. And we'd be glad if they want to call us up and talk to us. They can, it's 937-426-7640, and they can talk with me if they want. If they call in, they're associated with BE. I'm for them.
And that is the truth as well. Now, Barry, international, do you accept international investments, or is that only U.S. based?
We can do international, but it has to be held at an American institution.
Okay.
We don't hold anybody's money. We're not custodians. That would be a conflict of interest. We're managing it. But as long as it's held at an American institution, so all the tax and all that is taken care of, yes, we'd be happy. But we're investing here domestically in the United States.
Awesome. So international partners, you've heard that. If you are not locally here, but you do have money in the American institution, through that process, you can also invest in James Investment Research. Well, let me leave you guys with this. May the Lord bless you. May he enable you to use the talents and skills he's placed on the inside of you faithfully, so that one day you can hear those wonderful words, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. Now he'll make you rule over much." God bless you. Thank you again, Barry.
Glad to be with you.
All right. Bye-bye.